We're going to say run scenario. It's going through. It's all running now. It's going to take a minute because it has to write a lot. And then, yeah, we're just going to chill here. Oh, it's all done. Perfect. Then if we refresh this, we are at 5. So there should be 6 when we get back. Now we have 6. So the newest one is named Why Now is the Perfect Time to Invest in Edmonton Real Estate. What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be taking you through a blueprint that will automatically create blog posts and automatically upload them to your website, such as if you host your website on Webflow or WordPress or wherever. It's pretty interchangeable there, but I'm going to be using Webflow for this example. So you can see it's a bit of a longer scenario, but it looks more intimidating than it actually is. The only difficult modules to set up are the 2 ChatGPT ones. But as always, you can get the blueprint on my Skool community here. So if you don't want to go through building all this manually, go check it out there. You can go download that. But anyways, let's just get right into this. So how it starts is we're going to trigger the scenario using ClickUp. Now, you can use this, or you can trigger this using whatever you want. So if you want to connect a webhook to your website and have a button that you can press on a hidden link or something like that, you can do that. Or you can use Google Sheets and trigger it from there. There's a lot of things you can do. So if you want a free option, Google Sheets is a good way to do this. If you, just want to keep costs low. But what I'm currently trying to do with my ClickUp is create a dashboard that'll run all of my automations. So I just have them all in one place. So that's why I am building it here. But again, you can build it wherever you want. So how this works is this is a webhook that receives the data when any of these 3 buttons are pressed. So when I press run scenario, so if I go run this module, and then I go write blog posts, and I switch that to don't run scenario, it actually does run it. But that's just because this webhook is set up to just recognize when the status of any of these buttons here change. So when this goes from don't run to run scenario, it'll do the same thing. So again, if I run this module only, I come back here and I switch it to run scenario, you can see that it ran here again. So how you set that up is you clearly have to make a button within ClickUp. So how I did that is I went to create a new field. I went drop down. I gave it a name. So let's just go. I'm gonna write blog post here. And then you just go down to options and give it 2 different options, such as run or run again. So it's not saying that it's off. Select a color for them, and then just press create. And then whenever this is pressed, it should trigger this. After you actually make a webhook that's connected to that. So now what you'd have to do is create a webhook. And how you do that is you would go add, you would make your connection, select your workspace, and then choose your filter. I like to filter it by list, but you can do it through most of these space folder, but list seems to be more accurate for me. Task is how you would get even more pinpoint accurate, but for my current situation, list is working for me. And then you would just select your space. So if we go back to ClickUp, my space is this here. So we got Riley's testing. So we come back, Riley's testing, and then it'll give me the option to actually select the folder. I'm going with folderless list because I don't actually have any folders within this space. And then for the list, I'm going to go with automations because that is where this is actually hosted in. So we got all that set up, and then all you would have to do is select task updated and then press save. I'm not going to do that because I already have this all set up and I don't need the extra webhook just taking up space. So I'm not going to bother with that, but it is there. And that's how you would create that. So once you have that created, you would obviously just test it. So you'd go run this module only, and then you'd go switch it to run the scenario, and then boom, it's all set up. But now what you might be wondering is because this will also try to run when any of these buttons are pressed, how do we filter it out and change all that? Because you can see I just ran daily Skool posts but it ended up running my blog post writer. Yeah, so that is an issue. And how you fix that is you put a filter in right here between the ClickUp module and your next ChatGPT module. And what you do with this is you pull data from the ClickUp webhook. So you pull it from here, and then you make sure whatever your selected option is outputting equals to write blog posts. So we want it to equal that it is only coming from this specific button. So how you do that is you come in here, you would go with history items, you would go down to custom fields, and then within custom fields you would select the name. So you can see history items custom field dot name. So that's all there. You got that all set up and good to go. And now it'll only run and pass through this filter if the button that is pressed is actually the right blog post module. So that's how you filter that out. So that's pretty simple to do. And then we get to move on to a ChatGPT module. Got everything set up here. So now we go to our actual write blog post ChatGPT module. So like I said, this is one of the more difficult parts of the whole scenario. And again, you can just download a blueprint from me that has all of this built out. But if you want to do it your own, with your own little twist on it, make it custom specifically for you, which I do actually kind of recommend, this is how you would do it. And you could also just download it and then put your own custom twist on it, like say how my name's in here out of my location, or not even my location, but just a random city. Yeah, you would switch your name and all of that, but everything else would stay roughly the same. Maybe like real estate, you might switch that because maybe you're an e-commerce or just AI agency, whatever you are. But anyways, so what's going on here is we're using the create a ChatGPT completion module. We're using the model of ChatGPT 4.0. And then for your first message, this is where you actually begin to start prompting the AI and showing it what you want it to do. So what you do is you make your first one, you make the role developer/system. And this is where you actually just tell it what you expect the AI to act as. So you want it to be a helpful and intelligent real estate blog writing assistant. Or, again, depending on whatever industry you're in, could be e-commerce, could be AI agencies, whatever you're into. You would just swap the real estate out there and say you're a helpful e-commerce blog post writing assistant for a store called, I don't know, Walmart, sure. Okay, and then message 2, after you got it prompted, the AI now understands that it's supposed to be writing blog posts, and that's all it's supposed to do. What you do is you come down here, and you make your second role the user. So this is where you're actually explaining to the AI what it's going to be building and what it's going to be receiving for data and what you expect it to output. So I just explained to it here. When running, your job is to create a new and original real estate blog post. Again, switch that to whatever you want. Write the post as if you are, this is where you would switch it to your own personal stuff. So write the post as if you are a real estate agent named Riley Dougal based out of Edmonton, Alberta. So you'd customize that for yourself, and then you would just keep all of this. This is important. This isn't anything you should customize. What we're going to want the blog post to do, specifically for Webflow, is output the blog post in HTML format. So this HTML is where the blog post has prompts within itself, such as H1 or H2, which help Webflow recognize how you want it formatted. So, for example, an H1 would be like a title of the blog, and an H2 would be the subheadings and all that. So we're going to output an HTML, so then the AI will automatically format the blog post for us, and we don't have to do any extra work later on. I wrote in here that I always want a brand new blog that has never been written before. This is just so, because I'm not inputting any data into the right blog post here. I'm not saying, hey, write a blog post about, the real estate market as of January 2025. I'm just saying, hey, write some blog post about real estate. That's why you got to go, hey, write a brand new one every time. Because when I was building this scenario, it was actually outputting the same blog post over and over. So I had to explain that you got to write a brand new one every time. So yeah, Do not include any backticks / HTML. I included that because when I was actually building some of these, you'll see on these older ones when I was first testing it, that it was outputting all of this nonsense, which I don't want, because then that's actually in the blog post when people are reading it. You don't want that being output. So we got rid of that. And then that's all you got to do for role 2. Now we move on to role 3. Now role 3 here, you're going to go with assistant. And this is where we actually show an example of what we want the AI to output. So this is actually a blog post within HTML format, sorry. So what's going on here is I got AI or ChatGPT. I went to the actual ChatGPT website and I just told it to write me a real estate post. Real estate post about the Edmonton real estate market. Real estate market recap of 2024. Output in HTML format, please. And then I just got the AI to write me an example of what I'd wanted to output. So you can see that it's outputting a bunch of JSON format here that's describing the colors and everything of it. We're not going to worry about any of that. We don't want any of that. What we're going to do is copy from here down, because we don't want our AI outputting this information. You can see I don't have any of that JSON format. So wait for it to write it. It wrote it. Okay, good. You're going to copy from here down. We're going to copy that, and then you would just paste that in here. And that's all you'd have to do to build that. And then max tokens, I just went with 2048. So that's pretty close to the maximum, because you kind of want it, it's a blog post, so you need it to be a little bit longer than normal. And that's all you got to set up for that one. For our second one, this one is strictly just to write us a name for the blog that was just created, because it's hard to actually input into Webflow the name of it in our Webflow module when there is an actual title coming out, because it all comes out as one piece here, and that means that we would have had to create JSON format and output it again, and it would have took like an extra 3 modules. So I'm deciding to just skip that and just run the AI again to just read what we just wrote and then create a title based on what it read. So it's pretty simple to do. Same type of deal as the last one. The first role, or again, the method's the same, model's the same. First message, pretty much always going to be developer/system. You are an intelligent blog name writing assistant. And then I just told it again what it's doing down here. Role number 2, when running, you are to digest the blog, copy provided, and come up with a relevant name for the blog post. We're going to have it output in JSON format. We told it do not include any backticks in the output. Do not say the word JSON in the output. Use \n in place of new lines. Also do not include any star characters. So we have to do all of this formatting here, or else the parse JSON module later on won't recognize it as valid JSON, and then the whole system doesn't work, just because that one issue. So that's why you gotta make sure that you include all of those extra little specifics here, so the AI doesn't put anything extra, because you will get the issue. For blog copy, I just went in here and I said, hey, blog copy, and then everything after that from here down is the actual blog. So what I'm doing here is just giving an example. It's like, hey, this is what I'm going to be inputting into you, and this is what you're supposed to read and digest and understand, and then create a name out of it. So I'm giving it the example, and what I did was I actually just took the example that we created from our last one and just inputted that into this one. So I just copied that and then brought it all over and pasted it in here. This module's taking so long to load, it's actually getting kind of annoying. Alright. And then under this one for the user, I created another assistant, and I'm giving it the example of, okay, that's what you just digested and read and understood. Now here's what I expect you to output based on that. So this is JSON format. I have a video on how to create JSON format using ChatGPT. It's very simple. Basically the same thing. You just tell it, hey, write me in JSON format something about a title for real estate or a title for e-commerce blog or whatever. So it's just curly bracket, and then you put in quotations, title, quotations, and then you just copy the same thing in quotations, write your title out, curly bracket. But yeah, so this is what the AI is going to actually output. And then for message 5, we just have user. We got blog copy, and what I did here is I put in blog copy, and then I went into the write blog posts, and I pulled the data from that. So I went to choices, I went to message, and then I pulled the content out. And then that's what you output into here, because that's what's actually coming out of there. And then all you got to do for that, I just kept the max tokens at 2048. It'll never end up using 2048, but that's just where I have it. And now we get into a very interesting part that's going to seem unorthodox, but it's a trick I learned from Nick Zarive. Definitely recommend you check him out. He knows a lot about this type of stuff. But what's going on here is I'm converting the HTML that we got from this blog post. I'm converting it from HTML into Markdown. Now, I don't really even understand how all this works. I just know that it works. And if we come back here, where was it? All that this Markdown does is I believe that it just formats the HTML in a much prettier and much more digestible way than what the AI does. So like we had like issues like this. You can see that, you know, we got this weird space in here between all of the paragraphs, and we don't need any of that, right? Same with all these. Like what's any of this doing here? This is all random stuff, and then all the extra HTML. That's not what we want. So what you do here is you take the blog post HTML, convert it to Markdown, and how you do that is you just take the write blog posts, and you just take the output again, same thing we did in the last one. Take the content, put it in here, and then we're going to take the output from this and then actually enter that one into the Markdown to HTML. You just add that in there like that. And so it strips all the HTML, converts it to Markdown, and then we're taking the Markdown that just created and rebooting it back into HTML. And it just formats it in a much better looking way that the Webflow system can understand way better, and it outputs it looking just a little bit more pretty, a little easier to look at, stuff like that. And almost at the end here, we have this parse JSON module, and all we do here is we're just going to connect our output that we get from our write blog name ChatGPT module. We're going to output that same thing and add the content. And what the parse JSON module is going to do is actually just create a variable that is only the name that comes out. So just the blog post name that this creates. It's going to create a variable strictly from this module that we can then put into our Webflow module. And then, last but not least, we have our Webflow module, which I've connected to my Iceflow website. How you set this one up, you just make your connection to Webflow. Very easy, just press add, and then you just have to sign in to your Webflow account. Should be very similar with WordPress. But yeah. So we're going to select from our list again. We're going to select our site. So I'm selecting Iceflow, because that's the website that I'm building all this on. And then we're going to go to collections, which is blog posts. So what you would have to do is go into CMS. If you don't already have one created, what you're going to have to do is just create a collection here. Put in, a name like blog posts, and then add fields for everything that you want. So if you want the title, well, I guess the title would already be here at the name, but then you can add in rich text, which you give it a name like blog copy, press save field, and then that's where the written blog post would go, and then the title of the blog post would be connected to the collection name, or sorry, just the name here. And that's all you have to do, but I'm not creating another one. But we come back here, connect to the collection you want. So mine's blog posts, which is that one. And then it'll give you the field options in there. So we have one for the name. So what you're going to do is you're going to connect that with the title that we have created. So we wrote the blog post name using the ChatGPT. We added that into the parse.json module. And then from the parse.json module, the variable that's created from that, we then input into the name type or column, because that's where the name of our blog post is going to go. And then very similar to that, with the blog copy, the write blog post module created it. We took that from HTML to Markdown, and then we went from Markdown to HTML, and then we are here at the end with the results, which is the HTML, and what you do is just add that. And then that's all you actually have to do for this specific setup. If you want to add images, there's some tricks that you can do for that, but I'm actually going to be creating a 2.0 version of this, which gives you more control over everything. So I'll go over that stuff in the next video that I create for this. But that's everything created, and you're good to go. So now all we should have to do, if we look, we have 5 blog posts here. When I click this button, or when I run this scenario, and then I click this button in ClickUp, we will automatically write us a blog post and post it to my Webflow site. So let's get into it here. We're going to press run once. We're going to say run scenario. It's going through. It's all running now. It's going to take a minute because it has to write a lot. And then, yeah, we're just going to chill here. Oh, it's all done. Perfect. Then if we refresh this, we are at 5. So there should be 6 when we get back. Now we have 6. So the newest one is named Why Now is the Perfect Time to Invest in Edmonton Real Estate. You can see that we have our formatting here. So we got our H1s. You can see that it's larger. It's closer to the title. We got our subheadings, and then we also got our paragraphs. So if we were to actually look at this within our blog post, so if we come here, top reasons to invest, you can see that everything is set up here. Got our name at the bottom. We got everything we need here. So that's how you create that. It's a very simple setup. It's very, not exactly rudimentary, but it's not the most in-depth one. This is more for people who just want output and they want it done very easily. They don't have to do anything. They just press one button and it'll automatically write them something. This is the setup for that. Like I said, I will be creating a updated version of this, more like a 2.0 version that gives you a little bit more control and say over what you want built. But that's all coming in another video. So if this isn't exactly what you wanted, stick around and wait for that video. And I bet you'll be happy with that. So that's all I got for now. Make sure to join the free community on School. You get access to a number of Make.com blueprints that are already built for you. You also get access to a masterclass on building a cold email system using AI that can send hundreds or thousands of emails per day. Don't miss out on this opportunity. The community goes premium once we reach 100 members.